Okay, guys, we are ready to talk about lesson 4, surface areas of cylinders. So they want us to talk about this bakery, and they make a cake. And the cake we made in the shape of a cylinder, so we know that it's going to be this shape. And what it's saying is that the cake will be in the shape of a cylinder with a height of 4 inches, so this part will be 4 inches, and a diameter of 14 inches. So all the way across this circle is going to be 14 inches. Okay? And it says, what are the shapes that make up the neck of the cake? Well, if I took this cake apart, deconstructed the cylinder, I would have a circle, a long rectangle, and a circle. We talked about that the other day whenever we talked about how if we opened up a cylinder, what would it look like? And then it says, how is the length of the rectangle? Well, if I look at this, how is the length related to the circles? The length of the rectangle, when I fold this all around, how long this rectangle is should be how big this circle is. Okay, let me think about that for a minute. If I have this cake and I split it open right here and I unfolded it, I would have a rectangle in this middle part. That rectangle goes all the way around the circle. So we have to think, what does that mean when we go all the way around the circle? Well, let's talk. The length of the rectangle equals that word for all the way around the circle is the circumference. Of the circle. Okay? What that means is that the length of the rectangle, if I opened it up, the length of that rectangle would go all the way around this circle. Okay? And it says find the area of each part. Well, let's find the area at the top. Hopefully you remember that to find the area of a circle, you're going to take pi r squared. Okay? So the area of the circle is pi r squared. So this is the diameter. I don't want the diameter. I want the radius. So I have to divide that by 2. 14 divided by 2 is 7. Square that times pi. And remember, we're using the pi button because we're big boys and girls. And you get 49 times pi. Mine's in the wrong mode. Sorry about that. 7 squared times pi is 153.9. And it says round to the nearest whole number. So is 153.9 closer to 153 or 154? Hopefully you know that it's close to 154. And the bottom, this is the top, the bottom's going to be the same thing. It doesn't get wider as it goes down, and it doesn't get smaller as it goes down, so it's the same as the top. The side then, to find the side, if this is my diameter, to find the circumference of a circle, pi times the diameter. In this case, my diameter is 14, so take 14 times pi. And it says round to the nearest whole number. And in this case, I also have to take it times the height. Okay? So it's pi times diameter. That gives me the length of the rectangle. And the height is 4. So this is pi times diameter. And then my width is 4. And to get area, you take length times width. So I take pi times the diameter times 4. And I get 175.9. Is that closer to 175 or 176? The answer is 176. Now it says to find the total surface area. To find the total area, that means I add. So I'm going to take 154 plus 154 plus 176. So I have 154 plus 154 plus 176. So my total surface area of all the sides combined is 400 and 84 inches squared. Okay? Let's look at it mathematically. We're talking about a cylinder, okay? And it says to find the lateral area. Well, the lateral area is essentially this rectangle. It's the curved part, the part that wraps around the two circles. So the lateral area is 2 times pi times height. So this is an equation that you're going to have to remember. Then the surface area is all of the surfaces. If I wanted to gift wrap that cylinder, how much wrapping paper would I need? Well, I would need enough to cover all of the surfaces. So this is how we determine the surface area. So lateral area is just the rectangle part. Surface area is the rectangle part plus the bases, plus these two circles. Okay? So let's look over here. We're going to do A. It says find the surface area, so I know that I'm finding all three. I'm finding both circles and the rectangle of each cylinder. Well, looking at my equation, to find the surface area, I'm going to take, remember, write your equation first, 2 times pi times height, times radius times height, plus 2 times pi times radius squared. So in this equation, we know what 2 and pi, we can't replace with anything. The radius is 3, so I have 2 times pi times 3. My height is 9, plus 2 times pi times my radius of 3 squared. So now if I do that, if I take 2 times pi times 3 times 9, for that first one I get, and it says round to the nearest tenth, so 169.6, I'm either going to leave it 0.6 or I'm going to round up to 0.7, depending on this number right here. Because it's a 4, that means I'm going to leave it a 6. So this first number I have 169.4. The second number then, I have 2 times pi times my radius of 3 squared. And I get 56.54. I'm just looking at these first numbers. I'm either going to leave it 0.5 or I'm going to round up to 0.6. Because of that 4, it tells me I'm going to leave it at 0.5. So I have 56.5. And now I need to add those two together. So I have 169.4 plus 56.5. And I get 225.9. 225.9 feet. And we're talking about area. Area is always squared. Okay? So now let's talk about a lateral area one. We want to find the lateral area. Let's look down. Here it is, because it says find the area of the label. The label does not cover the top and bottom. It just covers the outside rectangle of a can. So this is going to be the lateral area. Okay? So to find lateral area, let's write our equation first. Lateral area is 2 times pi times radius times height. Okay? And to do that, I'm going to plug in my radius. It says it has a radius of 5.1 centimeters. So now I have 2 times pi times 5.1 times, and it says a height of 2.9. So here are my dimensions of the can. Okay? And I need to multiply all of that together. So 2 times pi times 5.1 times 2.9. And my answer is a 92.92. And I want to round to the nearest tenth. That's what my directions say, is round to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to look at these first two numbers. I'm either going to leave it 0.9 or I'm going to round it up to 93. Because of that 2, I'm going to leave it 0.9. So it's 92.9 centimeters, because that's my label is centimeters, and it's area, which is always squared. Okay? That is all there is to this unit. Make sure that you remember that if you're working with the diameter, if the diameter is given, you have to divide it by 2 to get the radius. Follow your equations and formulas. Make sure that you write them first on your homework. Write your formula, then fill in your information, then find your product or find your actual answer. And if you have any questions, let us know. We'll talk to you later. Bye.